Invoked Dogmatika is my new favorite deck, and I have been absolutely grinding for it, just like you can grind for some in real life money by entering the Damage Step Master Duel tournament at the same day that this video is live. It's happening at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's currently full, so the only way you can join is if you subscribe to our Twitch channel, Dueling's Entertainment. Link will be in the description. Make sure you get in the Discord, like, and subscribe. We're uploading Master Duel videos every day, boys. Let's get into the guide. All right, now this is my Invoked Dogmatika deck. Now, I will tell you guys, you probably see me build some other decks like Eldritch, and just for clarity's sake, I did make a new account to play this deck. So instead of struggling to build more decks on my main account, I saw I already had 3 decks and I was running low on resources, so I did make another account by making another Steam account. And if you're running into the same thing where you just want to play more and more and more decks, I suggest you do the same thing, because the reliability of you spending money past a certain point to get the things you want is definitely going to give you diminishing returns. So I built this deck on a brand new fresh account because I wanted to be able to get a full hand trap core, and I wanted to build the deck out to its completion. Now, I did shout out here, I did net deck this list from my boy Make Mako Great Again, a DLE gang longtime member, and we edited it a little bit just based on my collection and the things I had in the deck, and him and PDS gave me some amazing pointers on how to play this deck. And yes, it's pretty similar to how it's played in Duel Links, but you just get to benefit from all the more effects that, you know, the Invoked archetype has access to in this, and the Dogmatika archetype that works very well with it. So this is going to be a little different from my Eldritch video, right? Because the extra deck wasn't so much a part of the deck itself, but in this time, it literally is going to be, you know, really in-depth. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first, we've got our Alistair Invoked engine. You guys know what Alistair does. He searches Invocation on normal summon, and I use him for all of my Invoker fusions. Then I can add him back to the hand with Invocation once he is banished, and discard him from the hand, gain 1000. This deck really benefits from you being able to spam Alistair turn after turn. Your main play is to put up Invoked Mechaba on your first turn, and this lets you set up very well. Once per turn, when a spell trap or monster is activated, you can quick effect negate by sending an identical type of the card from your hand to the graveyard. So this is very good at allowing you to just put up Mechaba, and then your next turn, your next optimal play is just Alistair again. Get your combo set up. And dude, honestly, when I was learning this deck, I did not think that it would be that simple, but it really is that simple. This banishes any card that you negate. It is 1 negate per turn, and we'll start to see where some of your more interruptions come as we look at some other cards. The next card we have is Invocation. Of course, you guys know what this does. Return it, add back Alistair, fuse anything. So yeah, but the materials have to be in the hand if I want to fuse anything that's not invoked. Then I have Magical Meltdown here. This is a field spell for Invoked, and it lets me add Alistair to the hand, and then it does a bunch of nice stuff for our effects. The activation of our cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summons a fusion monster cannot be negated, and your opponent's card effects and effects cannot activate when a fusion summoned monster is fusion summoned this way. And yeah, you can only activate 1 maximum multiple per turn. This is at 2, so we play it at maximum copies, and it does search Alistair on activation, which is what we want. We have essentially 5 copies of Alistair with this card. Now I'll move on to the extra deck for the Invoker cards. So the very important ones here are Invoked Mechaba, and I would say the next most important one is going to be Invoked Agodes. Agodes. Let me know how I pronounce it in the comments, guys. This guy's absolutely insane. It does, however, require Alistair and 1 fusion monster to summon, so you would have either needed to already summon a Mechaba or send one of your other fusions to the grave via one of your Dogmatika card effects, which we'll read later. And when this card is special summoned, or an opponent or a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target 1 monster, destroy it. and that is pretty busted. And I do not believe that that effect is once per turn, so you can just pop as a special summon, which is very nice. And then this card is very good in the OTK as well, because you can banish a fusion monster from your graveyard, and this gains attack equal to that banish. So if you banish Mechaba, this thing goes up to 4,500 without needing an Alistair boost, which is nuts. And then we also play Raijin, which flips stuff face down. And, you know, we play Purgatrio and Kaliga. Not too much to talk about there. Okay, so that is one part of our deck, which is Invoked. Now we're going to move on to Dogmatika. Dogmatika is so good, and one of the best pairing engines I've ever played with in Yu-Gi-Oh! So the main card for Dogmatika is this Dogmatika Ecclesia the Virtuous. Is a level 4 spellcaster, and this says cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster special summon from the extra deck. You can only use each effect of the following effects of Ecclesia once per turn. If a special summon monster from the extra deck is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can activate this effect to add a Dogmatika card. So yes, very good. However, before I get into Dogmatika cards, I need to note that anytime you activate a Dogmatika card's effect, it doesn't matter. All of the Dogmatika cards, even their search spell has this effect. You are locked out of the extra deck once you activate Dogmatika's effects. So the important thing that you want to do any turn is you want to activate all of your invoked effects, perform your full invoke combo, then you summon your Dogmatika cards, because you can just special summon this once you control your invoked Mechaba. So where are you going to be searching for Dogmatika Ecclesia? Well, you're going to be searching the Dogmatika Maximus. So Dogmatika Maximus says that you can special summon this by banishing any extra deck monster from your graveyard, and we'll get into the combo and why this is important after we talk about you know, the card by card. And then during the main phase, you can activate this effect to send 2 monsters with different names from your extra deck to your graveyard, and then your opponent must do the same. Send 2 monsters to their extra deck to the graveyard, and you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, so you're locked. So why do you want to special summon 2 from the extra deck? Well, that is because of a couple cards. First, we have Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon. When Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon, is sent to the graveyard via a card effect, during the end phase, it will let you search or special summon 1 Dogmatika or Fallen of Albaz monster. So this is used for 2 things. You either want to search the next card we're going to talk about, which is Fleur de Lis, or you want to special summon Ecclesia in the end phase after you have not already activated its search effect this turn. Remember, each of its effects are once per turn, so if you have not yet searched with Ecclesia, you then want to send it in the end phase to make sure you search via Titaniclad. But most of the time, you are going to search for this next card we talk about, which is Fleur de Lis. So let's talk about this Dogmatika Fleur de Lis. During the main phase, you can special summon this from your hand if there is an extra deck monster that was special summoned from the extra deck on the field, quick effect. And then if you have another Dogmatika card on the field, you can negate the effects of 1 face-up monster on the field. Pretty nuts. So it comes out as a quick effect on the field, and as it summons, its effect activates. If you have another Dogmatika, you can negate right away. Boom, get them out of here. And then when your Dogmatika monsters declares an attack, you can make all Dogmatika monsters you currently control gain 500. This is super good for finishing out games, getting over big boss monsters. 2,500 this guy is at, but it quickly gets up to 3k, and if it's on the board for multiple turns, it can get massive. So this is great for just anytime you have set up Dogmatika cards and you don't have monster negates, or you want to use your Mechaba for a spell or trap negate, you can rely on Fleur de Lis if you have it in your hand. Okay, so the other card I wanted to talk about with Fleur de Lis and Maximus is there's actually a couple. So we have here Elder Entity Intis, and this guy has a long effect. You're never going to summon this guy. All you need to know is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 card of the field, destroy it. And then we also need to talk about El Shadow App Cologne. All right, so let's talk about him after we talk about Dogmatika Punishment. So Dogmatika Punishment is going to be the only Dogmatika trap you play, and this says target 1 face-up card face-up monster your opponent controls and send one monster with an equal or higher attack from your extra deck to the grave and then destroy that monster. However, very important, until the end of your next turn, you cannot special summon from the extra deck. So this actually locks you out for quite a bit. If you activate it on your opponent's turn, you won't be able to summon on your turn coming. But if you activate this card on your turn, you are going to be so screwed because you can't summon on that turn or your next turn. So be very careful with this card. Only use it when you absolutely have to remove something that you can't remove by other means. And of course, when you activate this card, you want to always be sending something that you will get a graveyard effect off of, being Titaniclad, the Ash Dragon, or Elder Entity Intis, or the next card we're going to talk about, which is El Shadow Apkalon. So, right, a lot of people usually fuse, or they usually mesh these decks together, Shadow and Dogmatika and Alistair, and there are some variants which also usually include more Shadow cards, but we're only playing one Shadow Trap in the main deck, and that's it. We're not playing any Shadow monsters, and that's because I was talking with Mako. I asked him this question, and he said that they are bricks, and I have to agree that they are bricks because these Shadow monsters, they do not contribute to you making extended plays with meaningful negates on the board and meaningful things on the board that can actually help you. The reason Invoked Dogmatika works so well is because the two engines can coexist within the same turn, and they both provide you with negates, and they can special summon each other. If you do one play, an Alistair play, you can still make your Dogmatika play afterwards by special summoning. You're not locked to normal summoning, and you do not need to see a ton of, Dogmatika cards for them to be useful. I feel with Shadow, they have flip effects, so you really benefit from them, being on the field, and, that is pretty slow. You're always wanting to normal summoning Alistair, and then they also have, effects where you summon to the grave and stuff, but it's just not good enough. Instead of the Shadow cards, I'm playing hand traps, and I'm playing good generic back row that's going to get me out of sticky situations and win me more duels than some Shadow monsters will. Okay. So, the last two engine cards I need to talk about are Nadir Servant, which sends one monster from an extra deck to the graveyard. Another proc for one of these cards here, Titaniclad, Intis, or Apkalon. You can see how accessible these these extra deck effects are. This is like the third card I've read that sends an extra deck to the grave, and then you search any Dogmatika you want. This is great for starting your Dogmatika engine. It's just like Magical Meltdown for Invoked. It is limited to one for a reason. And then the last card we have to talk about is Shadow Schism. During your main phase, you can fusion summon a Shadow fusion monster by banishing the fusion materials from the field or graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. And then it says, then you can send to the graveyard one monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as a fusion summon monster. So that second effect is just a little added bonus. So essentially, what you want to do here is, once you send your El Shadow Apkalon to the graveyard via one of your other effects, this will then proc its effect to, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Shadow card from your deck or graveyard to your hand, then discard one card. So you want to use this to add Shadow Schism to your hand. Now you have a Shadow monster in your grave, which is the summoning requirement for two of our Shadow fusion monsters that we play. Then the other material is going to have to either be a light or dark. Now I'm going to talk about these Shadow extra deck monsters. First, we have El Shadow Construct, which is the big cover monster, the big mascot of Master Duel, one of them. And it requires one Shadow and one light monster. And guess what, dude? All of my Dogmatika cards are light. And this says, if this card is special summon, you can send one Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard, but I will be playing no others. And then at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summon monster, destroy that monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Shadow spell and trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So, a couple things. This destruction effect when swinging into special summon monsters is not once per turn, and it is on battle. So if your opponent does not read your card and they swing into you, it's gone. Another thing is, because I only play one Schism, if for whatever reason they get rid of it before they get rid of Construct, I can get the Schism back to my hand. So pretty nice. And the other Shadow fusion monster we use is El Shadow Winda. This is a level 5 dark spellcaster. It requires a Shadow monster and a dark, which means I'm either going to be using my Alistair or my Skullmeister, which we'll talk about in the hand trap section. And this says, cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Each player can only special summon monsters once per turn while this card is face up on the field. It is sent to the graveyard, target a shadow spell trap, add it to your hand. This, I cannot stress how many decks absolutely fold to El Shadow Window. The most important thing about this card's effect is when you can activate it and how versatile it is. Shadow Schism is a continuous trap, so you can activate it in the middle of your opponent's combos when they're about to special summon a monster or after, or they already have. You flip up Schism, El Shadow Window. Once it is summoned to the field, it sees that you already have a special summoned monster on the field, or if this gets out before, it will see, oh, that's your special summoned monster, no more for you this turn. And they are done. They won't be able to link over one monster. They won't be able to Xyz, fusion, anything. Not even from the hand afterwards. They will need to remove the window first if they want to have access to special summoning once again. And it can't be destroyed by card effects, which means it's immune to stuff like Raigeki and Lightning Storm, which is absolutely amazing. And yeah, dude, this card is really, really good. You're not always going to see it because, you know, you have to draw a pretty good hand for you to have access to Alistair and Dogmatika engine, but when this card pops off, it is absolutely nuts. Okay, now that I've described all of the basic engine cards, I'm going to go into the hand traps and then some of the combo pieces, and then I'm going to show you guys the main combo, the one main combo, and then we're going to get into replays. Okay, so hand traps here. Guys, I play 12 hand traps in this deck, and after you see some of the replays, you will want to play hand traps too. By no means is this a budget deck, I feel like. Invoked Dogmatika does put up very good negates, very good resources, but it is also very vulnerable to Max C. Max C is one of the best cards in Master Duel, and it is at 3. And this deck benefits so much from you having draw power. I cannot tell you how many duels where I activate Max C, I just draw one and I draw Alistair or I draw Ecclesia, I completely unbrick myself, or I get access to the other side of my engine just because of Max C. Another thing, everyone in Platinum is running Max C. If you don't have Max C, you're trying to hit Max Rank and you're trying to hit the Max Ranks after Platinum, you must craft Max C, guys. It is no joke. Then I have 3 Ash Blossom just for when they activate Max C, so I can negate it. Dude, this deck, when it gets hit by Max C, it sucks. You summon Alistair, you can't go into your full combo because you're going to give your opponent a bunch of stuff, but you must end on Mechabus, so you have to at least give them 1 card. So that's the upside of this deck. When you're forced to play into Max C, if you open a light monster in your hand, you will only give them 1 card. Then I play Skullmeister. Skullmeister is so huge. When an effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, negate that effect. And guys, this card is so good against Drytron. The Drytron machine monsters, their effects activate in the grave, and they have to pay the cost first. They have to banish from their hand before their effect can even resolve. When they rip monsters out of their hand to activate their Drytron effects, you Skullmeister them. Their monster is done. It's in the grave. It's not being activated, and you have a full turn to absolutely pop off on them afterwards because they've already gotten rid of the banishing resources in their hand. Skullmeister is good, very good against Dragon Maids as well, who have several spam effects in the graveyard they can do to reutilize their fusion spell. And it's just the reason I like this card so much. It comes up so much, and I can utilize it with my Shadow Schism to summon Winda. And the other hand trap that I'm playing is Nibiru, the Primal Being. And yes, this card as well is freaking busted. Anytime I'm going up against an insane combo deck like Drytron or Sky Striker or Hero or anything where I know I'm going to have a problem because they're just spam summoning Phantom Knights, Raid Raptors, all that stuff, Nibiru takes care of it. You just have to make sure that you bring it out at the right time. Depending on the deck, you want to make sure that you activate Nibiru before they summon a monster that can negate an effect, or you want to make sure that they don't negate you from the hand with something crazy. So Nibiru, very versatile, and you want to see it as much as possible in this deck, which is why I run it at 3. Okay. Next, we got Regeki's Regeki. Terraforming is a third copy of Magical Meltdown, which puts us at 6 Alistairs total in this deck. Lightning Storm, just because I needed something against back row, and just stuff against easy to remove monsters, because my monsters can get kind of weak sometimes. Also got Pot of Prosperity here. You can choose Pot of Extravagance if you want, but I really do like choosing the monsters that you want to send from your extra deck in this deck. I was being very cowardly with this card and only banishing 3 for a while, but PDS told me, nah, bro, you gotta banish 6, and you gotta straight up tell yourself that you're not gonna see the cards that you banish. You're just not going to see the cards in your deck that is going to allow you to play them, so you have to banish 6 to ensure you get what you want. Next, we're playing Super Polymerization. This comes through more often than you think. There are a lot of dark decks, and Alistair is a dark. And if you have Alistair on the field, if your opponent controls a dark monster, a wind monster, a fire monster, or a dark or a light, dude, you can absolutely just super poly them and steal their stuff and make an Alistair fusion. Or you can summon Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which is the only reason I play this, is because I also play super poly. If I had to remove one card or one set of cards, it would definitely be Super Poly and Starving Venom. You don't need to play these, but I just play them because they help you get around so much stuff, and I didn't even craft this card. I just pulled it, so that's why it's in here. Okay. Next, we have Cosmic Cyclone. Dude, Eldritch is running rampant right now, and you do not want to run into Eldritch without back row removal, and Cosmic Cyclone is best in slot here. You get to banish their Eldritch traps, their Eldritch combo pieces, their impressive floodgate traps. You need to get rid of them. You need to get them off the field. You need to stop Eldritch stuff from resolving at all costs, and Cosmic Cyclone is how you do that. Called by the Grave. Target monster in your opponent's graveyard. Banish it. And yeah, this is just the anti-Ash Blossoms card. Any hand trap that they have to send to the grave, this is just more anti-hand trap, which is nice. Anti-Max C as well, which is very important. So now we're at 5 anti-Max C cards with Ash and Called By. I play one Droplet. This would be something else, but I did pull a drop. I got super lucky. I pulled this from my free pack after I crafted a Dark Lord card. Super lucky. I wouldn't be playing it otherwise, but it is very nice when you can negate a monster with a monster negate that is going to stop your Alistair from searching, or just stop your Mechaba in its tracks. Forbidden Droplet is super, super nice for just getting rid of those problematic cards before you commit to a board. And Solemn Judgment is Solemn Judgment, brother. Okay, so now I'm going to explain to you really quickly the only combo that you really need to know for this deck to work. And it essentially only requires you to have 2 cards, and that is Alistair the Invoker and Dogmatika Ecclesia. Essentially, the main difference between this deck and Duel Links is because in Master Duel, you want to summon Alistair, and you do not want to Invocation right away. Instead, you want to make the Link 1 Salamangreat Almirage. And yes, you need to craft this card because it's a part of the main combo. You cannot play this deck without, having these main combo pieces, and Almirage is a part of it. It lets you link off your Alistair into the grave, and we want Alistair in the grave. And then we link off our Almirage to summon Secure Gardener. Secure Gardener, he just requires 1 Cyberus, which Salamangreat is. And the good thing about Secure Gardener is he is a light, so we're going to use him for our Mechaba summon. Instead of using something in our hand like Ecclesia, we can just pull this guy out of the extra deck and use him instead as our Mechaba piece. And that is going to allow us to keep Ecclesia in our hand for our Dogmatika plays. Now, once I use that to bring out Invoked Mechaba, I can then special summon Dogmatika Ecclesia from my hand because I control an extra deck monster, and Ecclesia will search me the Dogmatika Maximus. Then I will activate Dogmatika Maximus's effect to send 2 cards from my extra deck to the graveyard, forcing my opponent to do the same. So after I activate Dogmatika Maximus's effect, if I'm going turn 1, I want to send El Shadow App Cologne, and I want to send Titaniclad the Ash Dragon, because I want to add Shadow Schism to my hand and I want to add another Dogmatika card to my hand in the end phase. So that is what I sent if I am going first. If I am going second, then one of the 2 cards I'm going to send is going to be Elder Entity Intis if they have a problematic monster on the field that I am going to have trouble removing. Then I do that, and then I will just probably send Apolloon as well because I still want access to Schism. So then I am fully set up. I have my Invoked Mechaba, I have Dogmatika Ecclesia, and I have Dogmatika Maximus on the field with a set Schism for next turn. And then next turn, I wait for their first special summon. I flip up Schism. I summon I summon Shadow Winda. Then they're locked out of their special summons. And then I have a negate from Mechaba, which is an Omni negate. I can negate Monster Spell Trap depending what I have in my hand. And we're not done yet. In the end phase, via Titaniclad's effect, if I have Ecclesia and Maximus set up, the next card that I want to go for is the Dogmatika Fleur de Lis. And Fleur de Lis, in my hand, I can special summon it onto the field, and if I control another Dogmatika card, I get another monster negate, which is super good. That's a negate from Fleur de Lis, a negate from Mechaba, and you're locked to 1 special summon via Winda. So that is 3 disruptions just off of a 2-card combo, and you guys will see in the replays just how powerful that is. So one more thing before I stop talking about the deck list is it is no joke, this deck is expensive, but this deck is only expensive because of how much I am future-proofing this deck, and I basically built this deck to counter the other ladder decks. This deck is meant for super grinding, making sure your opponent does not get to play, and you're always able to put up more negates every single turn and lock your opponent out and just constantly bombard them with hand traps. That is why I play 12. I never want my opponent to have a good play when I play this deck, and if they let me get out Mechaba, that may be too late for them. Mechaba is such a powerful card. It is absolutely nuts in Master Duel. But let's talk about some budget options. Of course, I know that is what a lot of you guys are going to be worrying about. A lot of these hand traps, I would say if you don't have the URs and you have Droll and Lockbird, I was playing Droll and Lockbird a lot. I was playing that at 3 before I had 3 Nibiru, 3 Max C, and this is really good against Drytron specifically, and it did come up quite a bit. This is also a wind monster, so it will allow you to summon Invoked Raijin. I was also playing Psyframe Gamma. I was playing the Gamma package, and this was doing me a very good job. When you control no monsters, you just negate a monster effect and you destroy the card. So unlike Ash Blossom doesn't destroy, Psyframe Gear Gamma destroys, and then you summon Psyframe Driver. The only thing about this guy, and the reason why I did eventually cut him for Nibiru, is Driver is such a brick, dude. This is a level 6 normal monster. You can't do anything with it, except you can fuse it off for a Mechaba if it is the only thing you have. But for whatever reason, I drew this card so much. I think in my last 5 duels I played with it, I drew this guy instead of Frame Gear, which eventually just led me to removing it altogether because I was frustrated. Okay, guys. I think I have totally gone over everything in this deck. This guy is just for another link for Alistair, so you can just link off your Alistair and use this. That is the entire point of this as well. Just another extra light monster. I think I've gone over everything. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about Invoked, it's super fun. If you had fun playing Invoked in Duel Links, I definitely recommend that you give it a shot. The deck is super good, super oppressive, but it does require a lot of hand traps to play optimally. So keep that in mind. Peace out, guys. I'll see you later. Enjoy the gameplay. Okay, guys, Daily Kamel here, and oh my gosh, that is perfect. So I wanted to show you guys the full ideal combo here, and I just happened to draw it in solo mode here. So you always want to do extra terraforming because thinning is winning always, and you want to possibly bait out a hand trap, even if you already have Alistair. So always terraforming into Magical Meltdown, search your Alistair. Alistair the Evoker, search your invocation. Then we Link Shokan for Link Ichi, Salamon Great, Almirage. And Almirage is just there to link us up into Link ni Secure Gardena. And right now Almirage is in our grave. So we actually don't even need him right now. We just need Secure Gardener on the field. Invocation. Activate, summon Mechaba. Banish. Secure Gardener and the Alistair in the grave. Summon Mechaba and attack. Boom. There's our first negate. Now we Alistair back to the hand. Just like Duel Links, baby. So now this is the TCG part. Now, special summon Dogmatika. Ecclesia Nakoka Hachudo. Ecclesia will get us Maximus to the hand. Teiyun Takara, Maximus from our hand. Banish the Almirage. We needed an extra deck monster in the grave to banish for the Maximus summon. We summon Maximus, 3000 defense. But I can't activate Maximus because my solo mode opponent has no extra deck. Huh, that sucks. Well, in this case, you would then send your Titanic Clad in your Al Capone to the graveyard to search Shadow Schism to your hand and the Fleur de Lis. But we already have Fleur de Lis in our hand, so we don't need to. Alright, that's optimal combo, guys. I hope to help.